The iPhone 10 came out 1 year ago in a couple months. But we knew the iPhone 10 was going to come out at this time last year. Around this time would have been when we were unboxing the iPhone 8 Plus and the Apple Watch Series 3. It's been quite a year for Tailosive, and it's been an okay year for Apple. But today I want to be recapping how has it aged, how is it going to change Apple's future, how is Apple's ecosystem going to be modeled around the iPhone 10 from here on out, and how has it affected the rest of the industry. So yes, we haven't had the iPhone 10 for quite a year yet because the actual launch date was November 3rd. But since we're getting the iPhone XS Max probably tomorrow, and in another month we'll be looking at the iPhone XR, I wanted to talk briefly about my experience I've had with my iPhone 10 because I never did a 3 months later, 6 months later type video other than just updates on switching to different phones and what it's like to switch away from an iPhone 10. But this phone, I think out of all the iPhones I've ever owned, has aged the best. Face ID still works incredibly reliably. Even though this is Apple's first OLED display on an iPhone, I did not get any kind of burn-in, and I've left the display on at decently high brightness levels and never had burn-in problems. So very, very thankful that when Apple did OLED, they did it right, made sure that wasn't a problem you had to worry about. The color accuracy, the contrast ratio on this thing still holds up to this day, as does the A11 Bionic chip. Almost as if day one was yesterday, the iPhone 10 still feels very, very snappy for me, and I don't get much lag. After using the Note 9, I can definitely agree that the battery life could be a lot better, but I'm happy to see that this year with the XS and XS Max, they're improving on those. Not much, but they are improving on them. But I also wanted to take some time today to highlight the Portless challenge and the fact that that is still going for me. This is kind of the 1 year anniversary since the Portless challenge started, which for those of you who don't know and are new subscribers, back when I got the iPhone 8 Plus, I decided that I was not going to plug anything into it or any iPhone that I own from that day on that supported wireless charging. So if I could charge it inductively, that would be the only method of charging. And here we are a year later. Some people said it would be bad for my battery. Others said that would be too inconvenient. And I want to remind everyone, I'm not really doing it for convenience. It's actually kind of silly because I have a lightning port right there that even supports Apple's fast charging, and I even have USB-C charge brick to support that kind of thing. But the reason I'm not using the lightning port on my phone for accessories or chargers or headphones of any kind is because I know that Apple inevitably is going to remove it. And I consider myself a futurist. I like to adapt to the future before it gets here, and I think being accustomed to only charging inductively and kind of forcing yourself to use the phone a certain way, which is a little bit uncomfortable and very inconvenient many times, in the long run will make the conversion process for when Apple removes this port a lot easier. So there have been a ton of situations in which I really wish I could plug something in, especially when I'm driving on the road, or I didn't bring a mobile charge pack with me when my battery starts to get a lot lower. But what that process has done for me is made me have to think a little bit more whenever I go on a trip or a journey. I have to go, wait a minute, do I have a Qi enabled charger that will be with me along the way that I can rely on for being charged up? And I'm sure there's car supported Qi chargers out there that I could probably invest in, but I gotta admit, the best thing about the Portless challenge was by far the vertical standing Qi chargers that I have on my desks and my nightstand. Being able to just sit down at your desk and drop your phone there and have it start charging is so much more convenient than what it used to be when I had to sit down on my desk, grab a cable, plug it in, because then you either have the lightning cable coming up from the front of the desk and it's in front of you, and then when you get up or you're moving around your desk and stuff, that cable's there and you're kind of stepping on it, or the chair rolls over it, or you have to put the lightning cable behind the computer, and then you've got more cables on your desk and you have to pull it out, plug it in when you need to, and then when you rest your phone here and you want to keep using it, you're holding the phone, but it's got this big wire going out of it and it's going back to the desk. And I know a lot of you are used to this because you do it on a daily basis and you all love your fast charging, and I respect that, but time after time I noticed that it's very, very comfortable to be able to hold the phone from the bottom and not have to worry about a cable hanging out there. I know that very common counter argument to wireless charging only is people saying that they like to use their phone while they're charging it. I do too. That's why I love these vertical standing Qi chargers so much, is because whenever I drop my phone there, it's at like the perfect elevation and the perfect height so that I can tap on my screen using Tap to Wake, which is on by default. Thank you, Apple. Face ID is already pointed directly at me, so it just unlocks. I can check my messages, swipe up, and then keep using the phone, and I'm not even holding it because the Qi charger is one, charging and supporting it straight up and down, so I don't have to hold it. Now, there is a cable going to the Qi charger, but the thing is the Qi charger doesn't really move all that much. The experience over the past year of being able to just drop and pick up my phone whenever I need to, and whenever I drop it, it's charging, has made me not really notice the bad battery life of the iPhone 10. Maybe bad is a little too harsh. It's average. It lasts me through the day easily, but I'm definitely finishing the the day at 10, 5%, and I think I have a lot of that to thank for the fact that I have Qi chargers usually where I'm working. Like I said, both mobile and vertical standing ones. I really think that when Apple starts ditching ports entirely, mobile Qi supported battery packs are going to get a lot more popular, and I personally find them a little bit easier to use because, of course, I had mobile charging packs back when I had an iPhone 7 and a 6 and a 5, but the thing was, you always had to make sure you had that cable with you as well. So you had your battery pack, you had your lightning cable, and then when you needed to charge it, you had to plug one into the other, and then plug the other end into your phone, which in one isolated instance does not take very long, but compoundedly, when you do it over and over again, it gets a little bit tiresome. And what I like about my Qi supported battery pack is that you don't need a cable. You don't need that other thing to pack around with you. All you can do is turn on the battery pack and then put your phone on it and immediately starts charging. You drop that Qi pad on a table, in your car, at the beach even, which yes, I did, and you can keep that external battery with you without having to pack around a cable everywhere, which saved me in a lot of situations. And even my friends, like when my friend Wyatt would travel with me, he has a Galaxy Note 5, which also supports Qi charging. So we didn't pack a micro USB or a USB-C cable and a lightning cable, but because we had that one mobile Qi pack, we were able to drop it, and then anyone who needed to charge their phone could charge it, because I believe Qi is the universal standard for smartphones, unless you have a Pixel, but it sounds like they're about to change that. I know a lot of cameras are still personal preference, but for me at least, the iPhone 10 is still the untouched camera, because in my world, video performance is really, really important. And I wish that more YouTubers would acknowledge the fact that a lot of us take videos on our phones, and the phones that take better video should probably get more credit for it. When it comes to picture quality, all cameras are very, very good these days. Even budget phones take pretty good pictures, premium phones take almost identical pictures, and when you compare them, you'll notice slight HDR differences and slight saturation differences. I don't think it makes any sense to compare smartphones at that level, because you can change the contrast and saturation in the Photos app if you need things to be tinkered that much. It's not that hard. But when it comes to video performance, there are still a ton of things that, even switching to the Note 9 a couple weeks ago, I was missing out on when I left my iPhone 10 behind. Like I've always said, being able to record 4K at 60 for as long as you want. As long as there's storage, you can keep recording. You don't have to wait for some 5-minute timer to end. I'm also very grateful that iPhones have rear-facing microphones, which is very helpful for vlogging, meaning that when I'm recording something going on this side of the camera, it's picking up what's going on that side of the camera. I was missing out on that with the Note 9, not having a rear-facing microphone. And I'm excited that with the 10S and 10S Max, that's going to get a lot better because they added stereo in the video recording app. So I'm curious to try that out for myself. And the telephoto lens is so much more useful than just taking portrait shots. A lot of companies like Google will often bring up that the only reason to have a telephoto lens is so that you can do portrait photography, which I've done some portrait photography, and I might add, iOS 12 has helped portrait mode a lot. Stage light looks better now. Front-facing portrait mode looks better now. It's better at masking out bokeh, but thanks to the A12 chip on the new iPhone XS, it looks like it's getting a lot better with HDR and stuff like that, so I'm excited to try it, but by no means did the iPhone 10 get smoked in the dust this year with the new iPhones, because I still think this is a perfectly capable phone. The people who bought the iPhone 10 last year do not, I repeat, do not feel like you have to upgrade this year at all. I don't think anyone would make that argument, but that's typically the case with most S model upgrades. Typically, if you got a phone a year ago and then an S version comes out, it's not that different, and it's probably not worth the upgrade, and the iPhone 10 is no exception. I imagine that this phone is easily going to last another 4 years, and the people who got it, stick with it. You don't need the 10S. There's a couple of upgrades, but overall, nothing too major, and you know what? Probably next year's not going to be too major either. So just want to remind you all on the day before we get our new iPhones that the iPhone 10 is still rocking it awesomely. It's the daily driver I always want to go back to, and I imagine when I'm testing the Pixel 3 next month, I'm really, really going to miss this thing. Let alone the 10S Max. Oh God, going to be like going to heaven and hell really quickly. So if you're still rocking the iPhone 10 out there, let me know how it's aging for you. My battery health is at 91%, so if you think that Qi charging hurts it or anything like that, don't. It's an average battery health degradation since day one. Some people are higher, some people are lower, that are and aren't in the Portless challenge. We've found no correlation with my fans, but all that good stuff, let me know in the comments below. This is your Apple Shapiro, and I'll see you in the next one.